Hello, this is Action Wire Recaps. Today I'm going to describe the South Korean movie called The Exit, which is an action comedy disaster movie. Beware of spoilers. A man in his early 30s named Lee Young-nam still resides with his parents. He oversaw the climbing team during his time in college and had achieved gold in a number of competitions. However, it is presently difficult to get work with this qualification. No matter where he applies, he is always rejected. Young-nam spends most of his days in the park, practicing parkour and acrobatics. He thinks it is cool, but the whole town regards him as a loser. Even his own nephew doesn't want to be around him. At home, things are even worse. Young-nam is treated like a kid by his parents and elder sister alike. Although they love him a lot, they never miss an opportunity to scold him. Young-nam is heavily dependent on them too. Despite being a grown man, his mother still makes his hair. One day, the family decides to celebrate his mom's 70th birthday. Young-nam is entrusted with locating a location because their home is not large to host a party. He quickly proposes the Cloud Garden, a 3-star hotel in the city, without giving it a second thought. This is so that Yoo, a fellow climber and young undergraduate Nam's sweetheart, might work there as vice manager. Back then, the two were close friends, but it has been 5 years since their last conversation. The next scene shows Young-nam getting ready and going to the event with his family. Once they arrive, Young-nam is surrounded by his distant family members, most of whom barrage him with awkward inquiries about his professional life. Inquiries about his girlfriend are also made, but Young-nam simply ignores them. After some time, just as the cake-cutting ritual is about to start, Young-nam finally spots Yoo, the object of his affection. He acts astonished when he realizes she is looking at him. Later, as the two move to a quiet spot, Yoo expresses her delight at running into him once more. She asks if he was aware that she worked here, but Young-nam dismisses it as a coincidence. He claimed that he chose the location due to its positive Google evaluations. Young-nam makes up the fact that he is the manager of a multi-million-dollar corporation when asked what he does for a living. Soon later, Yoo receives a call from Mr. Gu, her manager, who initially lauds her for her outstanding performance. He then begins touching her, though. Due to the fact that the hotel is owned by his father, Yoo is unclear about how to get rid of him. She can lose her job if she rejects him. In another area of the city, which is the busiest, a huge truck drives up. The driver then exits the vehicle and turns a number of valves, causing a significant volume of an unknown gas to be released. Sadly, it turns out that the gas is deadly, and it begins to harm others close. Soon, hundreds of individuals begin to fall to the ground, and some of them even pass away instantly. Deadly traffic accidents that result from individuals trying to leave the region send the city into complete chaos. The residents of Cloud Garden are still unaware of what is going on outside. They can be seen dancing and having a great time. A glass cylinder is suddenly launched inside by a nearby accident, startling Young-nam and the others. They quickly go outside to inspect, and as they do so, they notice a thick blanket of gas moving toward them. They become aware that something awful is approaching as they see hundreds of thousands of people running away from the area. Yoo hastily leads everyone into the hotel as a result. Everyone complies, but Young-nam chooses to remain because his sister has just pulled up in her car. He yells at her to go right now, but by the time she understands what is occurring, it is already too late. Young-nam must hold his breath while carrying her inside after the gas affects her and causes her to pass out. The sister manages to survive, but she is severely choking and has blisters and rashes all over her body. The family members who attempt to contact for an ambulance are informed that only helicopters are operating at this time. Young-nam and Yoo peer through the glass window as everyone starts to worry and see the city completely enveloped in thick gas. They are unsure about its nature and origin. However, they are aware that the gas is rising, therefore they must as quickly as possible ascend to a higher height. The others must get to the terrace, Young-nam tells them as soon as he approaches them. They then bring his injured sister upstairs on an improvised stretcher. Sadly, they discover the door is locked when they arrive. The lone key to it is held in the ground floor reception area. They will need to find another route, though, as the noxious vapor has already coated that floor. Soon after, Yoo, Manager Gu, and a few other people scour the floor below them for supplies. There, a news channel is broadcasting on the working TV about the enigmatic gas. There are steps to take in order to prevent exposure to it even though the source is yet unknown. According to the reporter, if one wears a gas mask and breathes deeply, they will be immune for around 15 minutes. In order to prevent rashes and blisters, the entire body must be covered. 3 gas masks are eventually discovered, and manager Gu requests that someone use one of them to utilize the key that is located downstairs. Nobody wants to jeopardize their life, though. Hence, with time running out, Young Nam thinks of another plan. He learns that the door to the terrace can be opened from the other side. Because Young Nam is extremely gifted in athletics and climbing, he decides to risk it all. In the next scene, he breaks a glass panel by throwing objects at it. Then, he ties a safety rope around him and takes a leap of faith, despite his family pleading with him to not do so. Fortunately, Young Nam manages to grab hold of a ledge, and reach the opposite building. Seeing his determination, Yuiyo throws him some chalk powder and a carabiner, so that he can climb more smoothly. Soon, Young Nam starts jumping from roof to roof like the Prince of Persia himself. His cousin has been live streaming him the entire time on his phone so that his family can watch what is happening. Young Nam, meanwhile, reaches a point where he is unable to grip onto the subsequent ledge. This is as a result of the rope restricting his movement. He releases the cord, making himself independent. If he makes a mistake, that's it. Despite the severe situation, Young Nam gradually continues to ascend. When he gets to the final step, all he needs to do is lift off and grab a statue with a lion's head. At first, it seems as though Young Nam may stumble, but he utilizes all of his physical might to pull himself up. He is currently standing on the Cloud Garden's roof. He stands up after taking a brief nap and unlocks the door to let his family inside. The family then makes an effort to get the notice of a passing helicopter, but to no avail. At that very moment, Yuiyo had an idea. She proposes that everyone stand in the shape of a H and tap their phones to send out an SOS. Meanwhile, the person behind all of this mayhem is ultimately identified. He is the co-founder of a significant biotechnology company, it turns out. He was also the principal scientist, but the other shareholders suddenly fired him one day. The man became nuts as a result and began thinking up ways to harm the city. He finally came up with this toxic gas after numerous tries. He was exposed to the same gas as the city, and as of right now, it is thought that he has passed away. The family has been tapping on their phones back at the roof for a while, but the chopper hasn't seen them. This prompts Yuiyo to discover that their mobile phone's lights are simply too little to be observed. She descends one floor in order to flicker the hotel's enormous advertising signs. The strategy succeeds, and the helicopter's interest is at last piqued. After some time, assistance shows up, and each member of the family is carried into a carrier individually. However, an alarm goes out when it's Young Nam and Yui turn, Yo signaling that they have exceeded the weight limit. The two are consequently required to wait for the arrival of the following helicopter while remaining in the back. But Young Nam and Yuiyo decide to flee because the gas is drawing dangerously close to them. They first gather the 3 gas masks then had earlier discovered, and they then stuff their bags with as much rope as they can. After that, they wrap plastic bags around their entire bodies and walk the streets in search of a safe haven. After some aimless wandering, they ascend to a building's roof only to discover that the gas has already arrived there. In a panic, the two go back to the streets before finding a building that is still protected from the gas. It turns out to be a large, well-equipped gym. After discarding their broken masks and rehydrating, Young Nam and Yuiyo get ready to execute their next strategy. They will need to use a rope to get to the building across from them because it is too far for them to jump. Soon after, the two attach some dumbbells to the rope and launch it toward the adjacent structure. Yuiyo, who is lighter than the others, decides to go first once they are confident that everything is secure and safe. Despite the difficulty of the task, Yuiyo has won climbing competitions in the past. She moves on to the following building without much of a fuss. But as Young Nam's comes, the smoke begins to approach them gradually. Death appears imminent and time is running out. But Young Nam manages to cross with all of his remaining strength. The authorities discover that water might disperse the dangerous smoke in the meanwhile. They start working on it right away, but it will take some days to completely eradicate it. On the other hand, Young Nam's father, Jang Soo, sees 2 reporters using a drone to cover the news after making it to a safe location. He pays them well and instructs them to go around the area near Cloud Garden after realizing that this might be the only chance to find his son. In another location, Young Nam and Yuiyo arrive at a brand new structure that contains numerous human cutouts. They unexpectedly come across a group of children screaming for assistance from inside a nearby building. Due to the closed doors all around them, they appear powerless. The couple decides to assist them first as a result. They fashion a sizable arrow that points in the direction of the kidnapped children using the cutouts and even themselves. Fortunately, the strategy succeeds, as a chopper spots the kids and saves them. Young Nam and Yeo decide to wait for the next helicopter because it appears that the building is tall and secure, but soon then, a nearby petrol station explodes. They are forced to flee once more as a result of the poisonous gas being thrown back in their way. Nearby, Yeo finds a big crane tower and considers scaling it. Although Young Nam doesn't like the plan, he agrees because he doesn't have a better one. The pair is once again on the go in the following scene. Surprisingly, the drone Jiang Su hired manages to locate them. It broadcasts them live and follows them everywhere they go. With this, the entire nation eagerly observes the daring escape. Everyone applauds their courage and bravery. Additionally, young Mother Nam sees him leaping from one building to another and nearly faints. The two eventually arrive at a tall structure, the final one before the crane tower. Unfortunately, there is too big of a distance between them. Death now seemed imminent, the deadly vapor rushing toward them so quickly. Even a final embrace and goodbye are exchanged. But at that very moment, a buzzing noise startles them. A swarm of drones has come to their assistance. It turns out that many city residents have decided to assist them after seeing their spectacular escape on television. As a result, Young Nam develops a strategy since he now feels hopeful. One of the drones is told to attach his rope to the piping of the building across the street. The two attempt to swing to the tall tower after tying themselves together with the other end of the rope. They find themselves hanging in the midst of nowhere as the plan falls spectacularly. Even worse, the rope that is fastened to the pipe begins to deteriorate as well. Yeo is forced to make a snap decision as a result, so she takes a plier and cuts the rope's end. Unfortunately, the rope on the other end breaks, making it impossible to swing to the next building as planned. The two fall into the dense cloud, seemingly to their deaths, as the entire nation watches on. Everyone viewing their stream is in complete disbelief. The parents of Young Nam are inconsolable and can't stop crying. Even the rescue helicopter makes a U-turn and gets ready to go. However, the pilot suddenly sees a tiny flare being fired on the crane tower. He finds that Young Nam and Yeo are still alive upon closer scrutiny. They manage to get to the tower and are now clinging to it for dear life. The two are saved and return to safety in the concluding scene, when Young Nam is at last reunited with his parents. They criticize him for being careless as usual, but they also applaud the courage he's shown. Manager Gu approaches Yeo and makes another flirtatious move while she is by herself. She strikes him hard in the face this time to teach him a lesson. When Young Nam returns Yui Carabinal Yos in the closing scene, she demands he give it to her the next time they interact. As soon as Young Nam learns she is interested in him, he simply smiles. Mother Nature uses a heavy downpour to assist the city recover as the film finishes.